Hang on, let me fix that. There we go. I found a jewel case in my garbage can 6 weeks ago, full of discs. The DVDs appeared to be in perfect condition last time I checked, with no scratches or markings present. The only exception was the case, as it was smudged by whoever had held onto it first. It made me wonder who would even consider tossing them out. Did the original buyer end up having no use for them? Did they contain some memories that he or she wanted to forget about? If that's the reason, why were they put in my bin? Nevertheless, I took the discs inside and thoroughly inspected each one, but not without cleaning the case first. Thought these would be of use if I ever wanted to keep certain memories for an extended period of time. First two were completely blank. The third one had this test video showcasing really shoddy special effects, and the fourth one actually had embedded recordings. 5, to be exact. All of them, for some reason, had 2 people dressed in Max and Ruby costumes. They were fuzzy, likely stitched with cotton or polyester material, and each limb was assembled onto their bodies like minifigures. Their eyes were reflective cutouts of plastic laminate with black lens pieces glued on the inside. Very awkward, but pretty much expected for a mascot ensemble. Inserting them into my desktop led me to a folder, listing each file name from the earliest to latest date it was implemented. I'll do my best to describe the contents of each one. FunnyBunniesPlay.vob. It starts off with a plain white screen, followed by calibri text with the top left fly-in transition reading, "Funny Bunnies like to play." Afterwards, the scene immediately opens to a kitchen setting with stock Kevin MacLeod music. The 2 mascots ran into view, hopping in place with excitement before pretending to talk to each other, sometimes making hand gestures to convey what they're about to do. Max sat at the dining table, while Ruby temporarily walked off-screen to bring in a tray of chocolate cupcakes. In an attempt to make each other laugh, Max drew a mustache under his nose with the frosting. Ruby rubbed a cupcake all over her face to form a beard. The 2 have a food fight, throwing cupcakes at each other before waving goodbye to the audience. One thing I want to bring up before I describe how the other videos played out is that at the end of each one, a blurry screenshot from the actual cartoon would show up, coupled with the words, "Subscribe to Funny Bunnies for more fun." Now I researched the name for the supposed YouTube channel, and while I did come across many users with the same alias, none of them are what I was looking for. Hell, none were even related to Max and Ruby. FunnyBunniesPark-TBE.vob. Same introduction as before, except the text reads, "Funny Bunnies like to visit the park," instead. The setting's now a backyard, with a child's play system filling up the grassy space. Max and Ruby hop in front of the camera and eagerly point to the playground fit for a grade schooler behind them. The next 4 minutes just had them do regular playground activities, albeit much more exuberantly, pushing each other on a swing and falling over, going down a slide, doing jump rope tricks, etc. Suddenly, as they were about to wave goodbye to the audience like in the last video, their heads jolted to the right and they stood completely still. The person wearing the Ruby costume booked it out of frame, while the one playing Max ran straight towards the camera and switched it off. No outro card came up. FunnyBunniesHair-TBE.vob. Funny Bunnies like to help friends. It took place in a bathroom and started with Max and Ruby waving hello to the camera. Ruby impatiently gestures for somebody behind the camera to move in. A child with disgustingly unkempt hair, likely a toddler, shows up wearing a paper bunny mask exposing the bottom half of her face. The 2 cosplayers wave their hand in front of their noses, indicating that the little one stinks, before they pull out some hygienic and self-grooming equipment. Scissors, some sort of 3-in-1 gel, a sponge, a comb, and a bucket of water. Max grabs onto the little girl's hair and yanks it upward, aiming the scissors to her scalp. She kicks and tries forcefully to pull his hand away, to which Max lets go out of frustration. He throws his arms in the air and points to the child. At this point, he and Ruby start arguing with each other while the girl shivers and visibly cries, as seen through her mask's eye holes. But there's no audio from the recording to understand what anyone is saying. Only stock music. The scene suddenly cuts back to them showing the tools to the camera. The little girl is sitting still, but her arms are behind her back as the rabbits give her a very messy, quick haircut and wash down. They even ended off with Max putting makeup on the poor kid. FunnyBunnies Doctor.Fob. This one had no introduction. It cut straight to Max and Ruby in a bedroom waving to the camera, but Max's movements made him come off as bored or uninterested with what he was doing. Max trudges out of view, and then leads a masked, pregnant woman in. She had a purple bruise on her chest, just barely hidden by her dress, and based on her movements, she was having a very difficult time breathing. Ruby pats the bed, beckoning her to get on. The woman says something inaudible, causing Ruby to ball up her fist. This prompted the woman to shakily crawl into the bed before lying face down. Max pulls something out of the pocket of his overalls. A needle. Not a cartoonishly oversized needle or a fake one made out of clay or plastic. It was real, and filled with dark yellow liquid. Upon seeing this, the pregnant woman tries to get up, but Ruby restrains her wrists, preventing her from leaving. Max presses down on her back thigh, and being unable to insert the needle slowly, he slips down the pregnant lady's pants and jabs it into her behind. An image of a cartoon crying face would be plastered over her head, and a high-pitched "Oh no!" sound effect plays. After Max removes the needle, Ruby turns the lady on her back and places a finger over her lips. Once the poor woman falls limp, Ruby gently sets her head on a pillow before giving the audience a thumbs up. Or the outro. This video didn't just feature that needle. However, there was also an M1911 handgun sitting on a nightstand. Money doesn't speak. .Vob. This video had no audio, intro, or outro. It just cut straight to what was supposed to be a video of them decorating eggs. Ruby hops with joy while Max just stood there with his head down, barely waving. Afterwards, the characters sat down at the big, white table stained with dye and food coloring. Ruby jokingly cracks an egg over Max's head and laughs at him, but he doesn't bother doing anything to retaliate. Instead, he squeezes another one until it bursts and drips between his fingers. The two each pick an egg from the carton and start painting. Ruby shows her egg to the camera and has a smiley face plastered on it. She pets it before placing it atop of a counter. Max shows his egg to Ruby, and it has a question mark drawn that is only faintly visible. She nods, presumably trying to dismiss his message. Max drops his egg, making it splat on the ground, and buries his head in his lap, hands tugging onto his ears. Ruby says something unhearable to Max while pointing at the camera. She shakes him, trying to force him out of his distressed position. That's when shit hit the fan, and the actor playing Max attempted to unzip his costume. Ruby grabs his arm, but he manages to yank it away from her, and he flips the table, scattering the decoration materials. He lunges onto her and pins her to the ground. The head of Ruby's guise was removed and tossed over Max's shoulder with uncontrollable fury, revealing the performer's face. Black hair, tan skin, riddled with acne and sweat. He then proceeded to pound her face in. I could see teeth flying out of her mouth, her nose snapping in a crooked formation. He'd squeeze his fingers tightly around her neck, slamming the back of her head against the tiled kitchen floor, causing a massive scalp laceration to open and spill out her vital fluids into a puddle. Her eyelids were turning purple and they squinted shut from the impact of the welts. Bruise After bruise, blood loss after blood loss, it was brutal. My face looked practically unrecognizable over the course of those few minutes. I couldn't sit through all of it. The last thing I saw before I took out the disc and placed it back in the case was Max grabbing a meat cleaver and brandishing it against the actor's neck. I immediately dialed 911 to tell them what I had found. Fast forward 6 weeks later. The police weren't able to find the suspect, likely because I cleaned the jewel case of any DNA but mine. Could have easily just watched the footage first, but no. I just had to think about myself at that moment. Such an idiot. However, that wasn't the end of it. One fortnight prior, my next-door neighbor moved into the area, and we got to know each other fairly well. Pretty nice guy. We occasionally go golfing or have a drink together, but today was the first time he ever invited me over to his place. His husband works as a plumber, and when he went to the house's crawl space to do ductwork, he ended up finding something down there. I arrived over at his place to see what it was before we contacted the authorities yet again. A filthy, stained, besmirched pair of rabbit costumes. The same ones from the DVD I found, as a matter of fact. The tags on their tails were still attached, and while they were difficult to decipher from the grime, I managed to make out 4 words inscribed on each one. Property of Easton Mall. That was Funny Bunnies by LafawndaPasta. Holy motherfucking shit. Now, let me get it out of the way first. I love this story. I really like this story. This is really good. And so now I'm going to be elaborating as to why I like the story and what rating I would give to it. So, right off the bat, this is, like, very clearly inspired by those really fucking weird Elsa-gate shitty children's YouTube channels, like the Elsa Spider-Man fucking weird videos where they would have, like, fucking weird fetishy, like, feet shit, and, like, needles and pregnancy, and really fucking gross stuff in those videos. It's inspired by that. It's very Elsa-gate core, if you will. It has, like, the people dressing up as children's characters and making these really fucking weird kids videos, and it slowly gets worse the more it goes on. And another part that I find interesting is the parts of the story like Funny Bunnies Doctor.vob. In Funny Bunnies Doctor, it displays the characters. In Funny Bunnies Doctor, it displays the fucking, like, actors leading in a pregnant woman to a room and then proceeding to kill her with a lethal injection on camera. Like, and as it says, not a cartoonishly oversized needle or a fake one made out of clay or plastic. It was real, like an actual there's no, like, they actually just fucking killed a pregnant woman. And this part is interesting to me because of the fact, it's not just because it's horrific and horrifying, but because this, like, a lot of these stupid fucking Elsa-gate videos that are marketed towards kids that should not be marketed towards kids at all, this disgusting fucking content that is pushed to, like, toddlers in front of an iPad are gross fetishy shit. And for example, some of these horrid fucking awful videos include really fucking weird shit with pregnancy and the constant fucking reoccurrence of needles and lethal injections. The constant fucking reoccurrence of both of those things weird fucking fetishy nonsense pushed to babbling toddlers. It's awful. All of you are aware that this shit happens. Yeah, I don't need to elaborate on this more. And the thing is, in these videos, they have this, like, the needles are usually, like, comically oversized, or they have some kind of neon green fluid pumping through them or something, right? This makes it so much fucking worse somehow, because it isn't like a comically oversized fake plastic needle. They actually just fucking murdered a pregnant woman live on camera. They're doing this. It's not obvious at first, but most of you here could probably make the connection, even before the title of Money Doesn't Speak, that they're probably doing this for cash. Or alternatively, maybe both of them could be the case, they're working for some kind of, like, underground snuff ring. Especially considering, like, the ending makes it pretty obvious that they stole these old-ass, musty-ass Max and Ruby costumes from some mall. And the reason... Like, that adds to the fact that they're probably doing this for cash, because, you know, they didn't just buy the costume. They stole it from some... They stole a rotting-ass, musty-ass costume from somewhere. And it makes it all the more sickening that the thing they're doing for cash is this, which adds to, like, my little extra speculation that this also, in-universe, could be part of some kind of, like, awful underground snuff ring. The actors inside the Max and Ruby costumes also seem to be at a constant, like, push and pull. A constant disagreement, constantly arguing throughout the story. Something's going on between there, some kind of dynamic. Like in Hair, when they start arguing and there's just no audio. And even when they're not arguing, there's still, like, shit's still happening, because, like, other than them arguing, like, the person in the Max costume is barely, like, doing anything, like, barely playing into the role, seems, due to their movements, uninterested because of their sluggish and slow movements, and, like, him trying to send a message to the person in the Ruby costume in Money Doesn't Speak, like the question mark on the egg before he drops it and buries his head in his lap, or when he, like, just crushes the egg. Like, he's trying to send a message, and when that doesn't work, like, Ruby just tries to go back along with what was happening. The actor of Max pushes her to the fucking floor, like, flips the table over, pushes her to the floor, and then proceeds to beat her fucking face in to the shape of a shattered bowl, and then presumably decapitate her. Holy shit! And there's a lot of mystery behind it, such as the, like, why it ended up in the protagonist's mail, why the costumes ended up in that guy's house at the end. There's lots of mystery surrounding the story, and I like that. And another interesting tidbit about this story that you don't immediately pick up on is the fact that there's, like, this sort of subtle implication at the beginning before we get into, like, the actual Funny Bunny videos. Like, the shoddy special effects stuff at the beginning. Like, that's very reminiscent to other content farm channels, where they start off doing other stuff, like, completely separate stuff that's, like, normal, respectable things, before they fucking nosedive into, like, dumpster fire, fucking hot ass garbage content, right? Like slop. And so there's, like, that's why that's there. The shoddy special effects in the DVD thingy. That's why those specific things are there. That's because that's what they were doing before they moved on to the FunnyBunnies channel, before they ended up doing all this horrific shit. Like, that's what they were doing before they moved on to FunnyBunnies, which adds more of a background and makes it feel more like makes it feel more realistic, considering that's something that a lot of content farm channels do. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure the Leroy Jenkins meme, the original account, is now only posting, like, at one point was, like, posting fucking Spider-Man Elsa 3D animated Kinder Egg trash. It was hot ass. It was fucking awful. So, that was one of the things with it that that was one of the things in the story that I really liked. So, in short, this story is a disgusting but realistic depiction of a thing that actually happens a lot. It feels realistic. It's disgusting, and it feels realistic enough to the point where you could make a documentary of this and lie about it being real, and a shit ton of people would probably believe you. So, what do I give the story? Well, I can't really find any cons with this story. I can't. Because, like, I can't find any problems with this. And so I don't even need to say it. 10 out of 10. Holy shit. This is so fucking good. LaFawnda, you didn't just cook. You cooked a Michelin star worthy gourmet fucking 5-star rated meal with this fucking story. God damn! But as always, this is simply only my thoughts on the story. You may have a different opinion on the story, and if so, I'd love to hear it. Just don't be a asshole about it, please. But oh! How could I forget? This isn't my main channel. This is my second channel. My actual main channel is Dipping Sauce. Please consider checking that channel out sometime soon. I'll link the most recent upload on that channel in the description of this video, so consider watching. However, for now, goodbye!